It's time for Craig Smokes Off the Radar.
All right, here we go with some discussion and stories on topics that we normally wouldn't fit into the show outside of this segment. You know, we talked about that Super Soccer League a couple weeks back that's already just dissolved, and it's a non-thing now, right? You heard any talk about the Golf Super League?
I did. I saw some chatter. I saw some players. I think I saw a comment from Rory McIlroy about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Golf.com.
They've tried this before. They thought about doing this before, and it was just obliterated.
Well, yeah, soccer obviously tried it, less than a month ago, and it shriveled up and died within like 2 days of the announcement. So this is all very much to be determined, but there is a lot of chatter right now about forming a Super Golf League, the SGL. It was previously known as the Premier Golf League, and they're planning for 5 big events in 2022. Each event would have 16 players grouped into four-man teams drafted by a player who would be serving as a team captain, okay? So that's kind of the format. The teams would compete in individual and team formats. It would consist of players from the top of the world rankings, and some of them could receive upwards of $20 million just for taking part. Actually, a writer from the UK who talked about the league and their plans recently said that he would even put the figure for those top players at upwards of $30 million to play in this. They've extended invites to Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth, Hideki Matsuyama. Rory McIlroy said last year that he would not take part in a proposed PGL. Mickelson, meanwhile, is up for it. He is in favor of it and said something along the lines, I believe, of, you only get to see your favorite golfers like a handful of times or whatever, and that this would maybe, I think that was his argument, this would allow it to be more regular. But also I think he's probably looking at those money figures. And Mickelson, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he's at the end of his career. He's
Right.
playing now more as much on the Seniors or Champions Tour as he is on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, McIlroy did not receive an invitation. Johnson has already agreed in principle, Dustin Johnson, to captain one of the teams, although his agent is saying that is untrue. Absolutely no truth whatsoever. Like most other top players, he's listened to their vision, but that is all is what Dustin Johnson's rep said. So just in general, what are your thoughts on the Super Golf League?
They might put something together, but this is why it won't happen. Jay Monahan, who's the PGA Tour commissioner, golfers who join the Saudi Arabian-backed Super Golf League will be banned from the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour has the majors.
That's what the Premier League said, too, if you'll remember, with the soccer players.
Yeah, the U.S. Open, the PGA, the Masters, the Players' Championship, which is not a major, but a massive amount of what you get from that. And, of course, as well, the Open Championship, the British Open. They're already adding to the mix, if you'll recall a story I brought up maybe a month ago, where they're going to put together a fund that's a part of the PGA Tour that gives players extra money for their value on the tour. Not just endorsement money, but value. Armstrong, I think we brought that up. For example, what Tiger would make a ton of that. He won't now. But guys that bring in cred, that move the needle, ratings needle and all that, also that attract the largest galleries, they're going to get paid extra for that, which is always something on the tour. You had to make the cut to earn the weekend to earn any money.
Yeah, and McIlroy said, he was the one actually that brought up, instead of just seeing players 4 or 5 times, it would be more like 20 times. But basically the league, controls it, controls things. So are they doing other sports? And he seems to be happy with the idea of them having a little bit more freedom in the PGA to kind of, do their own thing and not be, I guess under the thumb of anybody else. And I know that at least a couple of golfers, they're a little bit unsure about where the money's coming from, where all the money's stemming
Saudi Arabia's got a bunch of money, but yeah.
Yeah, like Dubai is basically just a big money laundering place. And that's not Saudi Arabia, but same vicinity. So anyway, Super Golf League, are you intrigued by the idea, or do you think it's all...
I think it's probably something that could happen, but I think it would be a failure because it's not because they won't have the money, it's because they won't have the players that make that an interest. To watch. I watch the European Tour. That's always the earlier in the day on the Golf Channel. I love watching those tournaments, but no, I don't think this is going to work.
Well, we'll see. I mean, guys like Mickelson seems to be for it. Guys like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, they also cited just the history of the PGA and, winning these particular trophies. So we will see on the Super Golf League and whether it goes the way of the Super Soccer League that lasted for less than a week. We saw...
Hell, less than 24 hours, it seemed like to me, but okay.
Basically, yeah. We talked yesterday towards the end of the show. I brought up the no-hitter that was thrown by the Orioles' John Means, and it was the first no-hitter in quite a long time, but I didn't really have the details at the time. We had mentioned that a base runner did get on because of a wild pitch, so that was what prevented it from being a perfect game, but that base runner was subsequently thrown out, so he still faced the minimum amount of batters. So everything, the first time in history that it's a no-hitter that wasn't a perfect game because of a wild pitch, but then the runners caught stealing, so you still face the minimum 27 batters. That's
amazing, and the fact that it was a wild pitch and a third strike, you see Little League games that never end because of that, and then you have some Little League rules. If it's a pass ball and a strike, it's still a strikeout because otherwise they could be just playing merry-go-round. That's unbelievable. Minimum, no hits, basically all but a perfect game perfectly.
Yeah, just that one pitch, and they still got the guy out, so they faced the minimum. And also, do you remember the last perfect game? It's harder now. I mean, to keep up with things, but it's been
because I know it happens it happens more often. I don't know if it is more often than it was before, but it used to just be an impossible thing. I don't know.
August 2012, Felix Hernandez.
Oh,
and he actually did it in the same exact ballpark as John Means threw his no-hitter yesterday. So almost a really eerie sort of thing with almost throwing the first perfect game since the last perfect game and doing so in the same ballpark. And let's see, there was one other note I had here for you. Oh, yeah, they were talking about all these, name, image, likeness, and what's going to go on with college athletics moving forward, how kind of crazy it is that, there's all these things that are in the air. Well, Georgia has a law, a new law that is discussing legalizing endorsements for college athletes, which would appear to be great news if you're a college athlete. Might be enticing to go and play college football in Georgia, but a whole lot of symbolism here, as the bill that was signed into law in Georgia allows the schools across the state to take up to 75% of an athlete's endorsement income. So he's pushing, name, image, likeness, but the school can take 75% of that endorsement income. If the University of Georgia decided to implement this provision,
people will go nuts.
Yeah, they could take 70% of each athlete's endorsement. So a player like JT Daniels would only make $30,000 on a $100,000 endorsement agreement, and Georgia would get $70,000.
So here's why the NCAA or a state allows it to happen, and yet you still are not allowing the student athlete. If you're going to give them an opportunity to make endorsement money, give them the endorsement money.
Yep, and so the federal law still remains in the works, but Georgia is now one of those states that has at least passed a law as far as name, image, likeness goes. But obviously, there's a lot of talk about the words written in that law because of what I just mentioned. So we will see where this goes. I'm sure that will be a fight, and we'll have ramifications elsewhere as well. So
all right,
just something to keep a track of there. And those are a couple stories that are off the radar.
Love the segment, 4:45-ish. Mickey today got pushed back a little bit at Tuesdays and Thursdays, off the radar. Paul at 5 at 5:55. Not today, but when he's back either tomorrow or on Monday. Still blown away by the story about Jake Ellinger at Texas being found dead in an off-campus house. When we come back, she's one of the great names in Lady Bears history, and they've had a bunch. Sophia Young, her thoughts about Nikki Collin, about Kim Mulkey to LSU, and much more. Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Got great savings going on right now over at the dealership at Richard Carr. And first things first, they're going to give you priority warranty service. They're going to take care of you. And they're going to take care of you whether you're inside the dealership or you're safely at home, because they can bring